I was a scientist and engineer at the Space and Naval Research Laboratory on Point Loma in San Diego. When I turned 60, I was told I would be blind in 5 years. I decided to retire and focus on my hobbies of watercolor art and golf. A retired colleague and good friend who happened to be an atheist played golf with me every week for 10 years. Even our wives became good friends because they had something in common. They were both married to overachievers. At age 70 my vision was failing and I could no longer drive. I had to give up my hobbies and decided to update my studies in my favorite subject, physics. What I discovered is a startling message for Christians. My family had told me I could not believe in evolution and be a Christian. My parents' pastor told them I put science before God. The creationists showed up at their church with the message that the universe was created in 6 days 6,000 years ago. The great divide between science and Christianity had been with us for 700 years, beginning with the excommunication of Galileo in 1632 by the Pope because Galileo had looked at the heavens through a telescope. The father of physics, Sir Isaac Newton, arrived on the scene 150 years later when he discovered gravity. Gravity still plays a central role in physics today. The most prolific physicist in history, Albert Einstein, entered the scene in 1905 at age 25. He published 3 seminal papers, each worthy of a Nobel Prize. The most famous equation in physics, energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, E equals mc2, was born. 40 years later that equation was turned into an atomic bomb. In 1905 the most important conference in physics took place at the University of Copenhagen, where physicist Niels Bohr presented experimental research in a new field studying the microscopic properties of atoms. A new field of physics, called quantum physics, was born. The results were a set of ad hoc rules connected by probabilities and uncertainty. Einstein rejected quantum physics because it was incomplete and incomprehensible. Einstein told Bohr, "God does not play dice with the universe." Bohr replied, "Who is Einstein to tell the Lord what to do?" Einstein never saw the need to go inside a laboratory. His laboratory was in his head. This approach to physics would result in an unfortunate blind spot later in life. It was not long before Einstein discovered the greatest theory in all of physics, general relativity. In one elegant equation all of classical physics was wrapped into a single theory that explains how the universe began and how the universe works on the macroscopic or large scale. Gravity was the master of the universe, an invisible universal force orchestrating the motion of rocks and rockets, the stars, planets and galaxies. Gravity was tangible evidence of the intangible God. Reason triumphed over faith. Einstein was certain scientific evidence revealed the glory of the infinite mind of God. After World War II, at age 65, he received a perpetual research grant at Princeton, setting his mind to discovering a theory of quantum gravity that was worthy of God's infinite power. After 10 years, at age 74, 1 year before he died, he wrote a letter which I did not know about until my atheist friend told me about it. In what is called the God Letter, Einstein admitted failure when he wrote, "The word God is for me nothing but the expression and product of human weaknesses. The Bible is a collection of honorable but still primitive legends which are nevertheless pretty childish." Einstein's failure was not for lack of trying. It was for lack of experimental evidence. 10 years after he died, a major discovery took place. Protons and neutrons were each made from 3 quarks. 40 more years would go by before the secret of the quark was found. It took a $10 billion collider at the CERN laboratory in Switzerland to do it. In 2012, the missing piece of the puzzle in quantum physics was found. Called the Higgs boson, it was immediately labeled the God particle. It gave quarks the property of matter, revealing the source of quantum gravity. More importantly, it was recognized that the rock-bottom foundation of the universe is quantum fields. Quantum fields are made of quantum waves. The quantum waves of each field carries information which they exchange with each other to create the laws which govern the universe, thus forming the reality we experience. Physicists now call this the theory of everything, but I call it the Creator's voice because it confirms the universe was created by God's spoken word. Also of great importance, a brilliant physicist, Gerald Schroeder, now a professor at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, has used Einstein's theory of special relativity to explain why God's eye view of creation took 6 days, while the cosmic clock we experience within the universe counts the time since creation to be 14 billion years. The Bible tells us why we are here. Only the first chapter of Genesis reveals how God created the universe. It is important to understand that science is revealing the truth of Genesis. Christians should embrace science as the revelation of God's creative power. Science has been treated as the enemy of God for too long. Placing the power of science behind our faith in God will change the world. We stand at the dawn of space exploration. We are ever more dependent on science and technology to guide us into the unknowable future.